G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. As regular viewers of my channel may be aware, a couple of years ago Glen Innes acquired the first of two wind farms. There's a third one approved, but only two of them have been built. And one of the wind farms, while receiving delivery of their blades, discovered the blade had been damaged in transit, and therefore they donated the blade to the town because, let's face it, probably going to cost a fair bit of money if you had to cut this thing up and dump it in landfill. So this is what the thing is. Pretty big. Length of blade. Nice of them to have that on every one. As I said, painted a big one. Don't know why that black dot's painted on it, but it is. And there's another one. Presumably that's where the lifting slings have to go, or these arrows and scuff marks. That's very decidedly not supposed to be there. That scuff mark, that's a break in the gel coat. That might be what caused this thing to be condemned. That looks like a plug, a steel plug, going in a reinforced patch. What for? I don't know. And that's just bird shit. Ah. Now that there is interesting. Nothing at all on this side. Scuff marks. Bird shit. Wow. It's really got some curvature to it. More scuff marks. More bird shit. Scuff marks. And I did not know there was one of them on the wind turbine blades at all. That's because there's not normally one of them on the wind turbine blades. That there has been added. That there has been added so that it will accept the post of the plinth or whatever they're going to mount this thing on. Right. And then there's this. And this looks like quite a lot of damage, which has been bogged up and presumably at some point it might get painted over. You put that together with the scuff marks, and yeah, maybe perhaps somebody made a mess of going around the corner. Don't know. The whole thing does look fairly intact apart from that. I don't know whether this steel edifice here is going to be part of the mounting. Or whether they've got something else that's going to bolt onto the hub and they're just going to have a post under here, which would give it a rather large unsupported length. I don't know, but perhaps, possibly, one of the more interesting things that I've found to look at, think about and ponder is this. Apparently circular hole in the tip. Very interesting. Something has gone in there, and it's, well, you can see the angle of the dangle. It's not difficult. Something circular very neatly has punched its way in. What do you know about that, young fella, me lad? What happened there? Wasn't your beak, was it? Hey? Hey? Did you do that? I don't think you did. So, a little bird told me that the reason this blade was scrapped was because the damage it suffered in transit consisted of a bullet hole. That's what a little bird told me. What do you reckon, little bird? Is that credible? Hey, do you reckon that's credible? I don't know. I had me doubts. I thought it might have been a bullshit story until I came out here. And what do I find? Is a round entrance hole into the tip. Maybe somebody told somebody something and they told me, and maybe it's a bullshit story. But I made this video chronologically in real time. I started the video as I walked towards the blade on my first approach to check out a story which I had heard. Make of that what you will. But what I do know is that back in the 1980s, a fella from the Gold Coast who had a fiberglass ultralight, which was built at the Gold Coast, and the wing spar was laid up in summer when it was hot and muggy and humid. And he took it up to 33,000 feet and he got a world altitude record. It might have been 36,000. And he brought it back down, and weeks or months later, on a sunny Sunday afternoon, flying around in just a normal operation, the wing fell off. And it turned out that his main spar had delaminated, because when he'd put it together, there had been air inclusions and the air was moist and humid. and at 35,000 feet and minus 30 degrees Celsius, the moisture had condensed and frozen, and the freezing ice crystals had expanded, and that caused cracks inside the wing spar, and then repeated flexions had delaminated it. Which is why these things, just like the Concorde and Dreamliner fuselages, they are cured inside huge ovens at high temperatures. Not high enough to melt the plastic, but high enough to cure the plastic, also high enough to drive the water out. So once you break the hole in the gel coat, you can't fix it. You take a sailplane, you take that up on a world altitude record, and when you bring it back down from above 30,000 feet, it has a market value of 0, because nobody wants to trust that it's going to hold together ever afterwards, because there might have been a moisture inclusion in the layup of its wing spars. So yeah, maybe, perhaps, possibly, what stopped this thing from being a functional wind turbine blade was the obvious scuff marks that we've seen on the leading edge where the cradles have slipped. Maybe the hole in the wingtip happened afterwards when it had been discarded, decided not to use it. Maybe the scuff marks were a secondary thing. Maybe what the showstopper was that hole out there. But I think if the hole had been the original reason for the blade to be condemned, they would have puttied it up and put tape over it and painted over it. I came out here today to scrutinise the blade, expecting to find tape over a hole. What I found is big scuff marks on the leading edge, but there is in fact what appears to be an entry wound on the blade tip. So, chalk one up for the Glen Innes local old yokel gossip network. Not entirely proved, but not entirely disproved either. Who poked a hole in the tip of the turbine blade? What did they poke the hole with? And why for was that done? Oh, what a mystery. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.